It starts at 10:47 p.m. The night office blue with screen light. A message flickers. Quick favor? You're tired, you're decent, you type sure. The calendar inhales. One small promise becomes 4 meetings, 2 edits, a weekend on hold. Doors open, yes, but you can hear drawers emptying at home. Time and focus pulled out by gentle hands that swear they'll put everything back later. The first yes rewrites the rules the crowd thinks you live by. It teaches people which parts of you are public, and they learn fast. Not because they're cruel, but because appetite is. Goodwill is a warm feeling. Governance is a boundary that stays when feelings change. This is where Machiavelli, clear-eyed and cold as glass, offers a sober lantern. He didn't worship optics. He judged results. What's rare grows valuable. What's always available grows invisible. Scarcity isn't meanness. It's a signal that your hours are governed, not up for auction. Likeability now or leverage later. That is the quiet tension. Say yes to be liked and you rent applause. Say yes to what compounds and you build bone. The house you're guarding is small but sacred. Attention, sleep, the work that holds. So you learn to price consent before you spend it. Ask where the yes leads when it's multiplied by 10. Ask what waits at home with the lights on. There's one sentence that cools any hot room. We'll get to it soon. It lowers heat without raising volume, and it buys you the time to choose cleanly. No cruelty, just edges. The method ahead is humane. Fewer promises, fuller presence, a life that doesn't leak. You can learn this tonight easily. And if you listen closely, you can already hear the house settling back into itself, waiting for the next word you'll dare to keep. Most traps begin politely. Someone asks for something small, and because you're kind and capable, you let them in. The chain is simple. Ask becomes entry, entry becomes expansion. Expansion hardens into expectation, and expectation matures into entitlement. By the time you notice, the door has been open so long it feels like public access. It looks like this. A colleague pings you for a quick 15 to review a draft. You say yes. The meeting runs a little long. Next week they ask again, since you already know the context. Soon you're offering feedback between calls, rewriting a paragraph here, smoothing a slide. Before long, you're managing the project without title, pay, or permission. The 15-minute favor has mutated into weekly unpaid management, and if you try to step back, the room acts surprised, as if you... Generosity with frame is a gift. Generosity without price is a leak. The first says, here's what I can do, by when and how often. The second says, whatever you need, and silently mortgages your bandwidth. Good people get trapped because they confuse openness with obligation and kindness with availability. You weren't weak. Your first yes lacked terms. So put a frame on the gift. Offer scope, cadence, and sunset. Say, I can review 1 draft this month and send notes by Thursday. If you want ongoing help, let's set a time and define deliverables. Clear edges lift weight from both sides. You remain generous without going vague, and vagueness is where obligations breed. Courts have long taught a law of access. Repeated use becomes a right in practice, even when no one meant it that way. Your calendar isn't a sidewalk. Guard the gate before kindness becomes custom, and watch how respect follows the fence you finally build. Next, we'll use it. He watched courts the way sailors watch weather, reading currents, noting where a favor became a leash. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was mapping control so decent people wouldn't drown. In his mirror, abundance without governance looked like weakness, because anything available carries no weight. Scarcity signaled protects the work and the person who does it. Value needs edges to be felt by others. Here's the principle. What is bestowed can be revoked. What is built must be bargained. Gifts create gratitude, then appetite. Structure creates terms. Then respect. If you distribute yourself freely, you teach the room that your time is a public utility. If you ration access, you teach that outcomes require cost. A door that never closes is not an entrance, it's a drain. Picture the favorite at court, the one who's always nearby, always ready. Proximity feels like safety. It breeds dependence. The prince grows used to the favorite's constant yes, and the favorite mistakes habit for tenure. Then one wind shifts and access vanishes. What remains? Not leverage, only fatigue and errands for applause that never transferred power. Machiavelli's counsel is colder, but it's humane. Hold shape. Make access intentional, not ambient. Let appearances be governed. Arrive prepared, exit promptly, speak in measured claims you can prove. Control the silhouette so others can't spend you by rumor or rush. You're not a mystery, you're a governed resource. So before you answer, gate and ledger. Gate. Is this mine to do, and at what price to the work I already own? Ledger. What small irreversible step preserves leverage if I say yes, or makes a clean no easier if I don't? 2 minutes, 1 page, cooler blood. Next. We'll practice it together. A brief gate plus ledger ritual before any reply. So generosity keeps its spine and your house keeps its light. Availability follows physics more than manners. Picture water forced through a narrowed channel. Pressure rises, flow gains shape. Stone remembers the path. When the channel is wide and careless, the river spreads thin, noisy and forgettable. Your time works the same. Close the banks and it carves. Think in 2 ledgers. Optics hours are open. Broadcasting motion. They look busy, buy applause and leak power. Leverage hours are contained, scheduled, and quiet. They buy progress that keeps paying when no one is watching. An open door invites traffic. A scheduled window invites intention. The difference is gravity. Windows pull focus. Doors bleed it. Respect accrues to pace, not volume. People trust the person who moves on rhythm, not the one who answers in flashes. Tempo tells the room what you're worth. 2 available, and you become scenery. Steady and you become reference. Watch the montage. Broadcast access. You reply instantly, jump on every ping, let meetings multiply because anyone can find you. Your day becomes a hallway. Staged access. You bundle replies twice, meet at set times, show a prepared page, leave on the minute. The signal sharpens. Decisions gather around the weight you're keeping. This isn't about hiding. It's about hydrodynamics. Boundaries create pressure. Pressure does the carving. Scarcity isn't cruelty. It's how value becomes legible. You're training attention where to land and how long to stay. So narrow the channel. Move when you choose, not when you're summoned. Trade the open door for scheduled windows. Let leverage hours anchor optics hours, so the public face rides on private depth. The river will still reach the sea, but it won't waste its strength on every shore. You will feel the room breathe and remember its balance. Next, we'll test this in conversation. Watch urgency deflate as your tempo takes the lead. Here's what one unframed yes quietly erases, and how to rebuild the guardrails without drama. First time, the cap dissolves and overflow is assumed. Say, I'm in for 40 minutes. I'll step out at 10 past. Put the ending where they can see it. Second channel, your DMs turn into a hotline. Route to the agreed lane. Send through the project thread and I'll handle it there. Third scope, add-ons slip in like rain under a door. Freeze the spec and re-baseline in public, so changes have a receipt. Fourth priority, their task leaps your queue. Tie it to a metric or date. Happy to help if it moves X by Friday. Fifth, pace. Now becomes default. Set review windows so speed stops impersonating importance. Sixth, cost. Free becomes free again. Name price, credit, or reciprocity before you lift a finger. Seventh, access. Any time arrives at inconvenient hours. Offer office hours, then keep them. Eighth, decision rights. You're consulted last and blamed first. Define who decides, who advises, and who executes, so gravity has a map. Ninth quality, the rush lowers your standard. Put the standard before the schedule and let timing bend to craft. 10th reputation, you become the easy yes, the path of least resistance. Earn a different name with a visible no and a clean alternative. Can't own this, but here's a template, and a time you'll have it reviewed. None of this requires edge, just edges. Frame generosity travels farther than endless availability, because it stays intact. When you restore the rails, people relax. The work does too. Short script repeated daily resets expectations without long speeches. There is a cleaner way than explaining all this each time. Show, don't plead. Let cadence and proof teach your terms. Next, we'll make that cadence visible in one swift move. It starts with goodwill and ends with gravity gone. You say yes too quickly, the work leaks, and later you try to repair the spill with language. 3 paragraphs of apology, 2 of reasons, 1 of promise, then a quiet no worries followed by 3 more asks next week. Speeches don't plug holes. They advertise openings. People hear your careful sorrow and conclude there is room for more. There's a simple split that saves you. Signal versus salvage. Signal corrects for impact. Fix the thing that wobbled. Restore what was dented. Put a number and a date on the repair. Salvage chases image. Tidying perceptions, massaging feelings, polishing a mirror that smudges again by morning. Signal builds trust because outcomes don't need narration. Salvage spends energy on fog and calls it clarity. Every explanation spends a little crown. The longer you bow, the lighter your head feels, and not in a holy way. Authority is a battery. Reasons drain it faster than results recharge it. Keep your sentences short and your proofs visible. Use a different rule. Replace reasons with frames and proofs. Frame the scope, the time window, the decision rights. Then offer one measurable next step. I missed Tuesday's handoff. Here's the file, the test results, and a Thursday review slot. If anything remains off, I'll adjust by end of day. No theater, just repair the bridge and keep walking. When you stop paying with speeches, people recalibrate. Some drift. Good. Others tighten respect around your cadence. You didn't become hard. You became governed. Tonight, a 2-minute ritual will reprice every yes before you spend it. It's quiet, quick, and oddly relieving. Bring a small card, a slower breath, and the willingness to put edges on your kindness. We'll start at the desk under a warm lamp. Then we'll test it live. The hallway is quiet at night, the kind of quiet that lets wood remember its grain. You pause beneath a small lamp where a wooden gate stands half open, and beside it hangs a thumbed little ledger on a nail. This is the place you pass before you answer anyone. 2 minutes. Slow breath. A pulse that belongs to you again. First move, name the aim, ask what is today for. Not everything, one thing. Write the single outcome that would make the evening feel well spent. When aims multiply, your attention fractures. When one holds, noise slides off like rain. Second move, price the yes. If you grant access, what time, what scope, what proof? Put numbers beside promises. 40 minutes, 1 page, 1 test result by Thursday. Terms turn kindness into structure. Without price, consent dissolves into custom. Third move, pick the smallest irreversible act. Choose one step so small you'll start it now, yet once done, it changes the next step automatically. Send the draft, book the review, sketch the model. Movement gathers mass when something cannot be undone. Rent status. Own competence. Status expires nightly. Competence compounds while you sleep. The lamp throws a quiet pool across the gate. The pen scratches once. Your shoulders drop. The day feels edited. What was urgent looks less tall. You can hear the room on the other side, but it no longer decides your tempo. Do this before meetings, before texts, before decisions with teeth. The gate reminds you that access is not default. The ledger reminds you that generosity needs arithmetic. 2 minutes, then through you go, clearer, smaller, stronger, anchored. Bring this gate into the conversation test. Watch how a simple frame and one measured promise tilt the room toward pace and proof. Even when the door swings wide, they lean into the doorway with the easy tone of habit. Since you helped last time, can you jump in now? The line carries history, and your calendar knows it. Old reflex, say yes, clean the spill, pay with sleep. New reflex, breathe, touch the gate, open the ledger in your head. You mirror one fact. I hear you're up against a deadline. Nothing defensive, nothing extra. A mirror cools faster than a speech. Then you fix one frame, scope, time, channel. So the help becomes a project, not a hallway. I can review one draft for 40 minutes today at 4 in the project thread. Finally, you propose one next proof. If the risk drops below 2% in that pass ship, if not, we schedule a 90-minute fix for Thursday. The ask stops being air. It gets edges. Watch the room tilt. Urgency loses oxygen when sequence appears. Eyes come off the clock and land on the steps. Your calm is not delay. It's design. You didn't refuse. You reclaimed. The yes that used to leak now travels inside a pipe. The habit of overflow meets a fence and remembers manners. Sometimes they push again. Could you also hop on a quick call? You stay with the frame. Thread works best for accuracy. If we need a call after the pass, send times and an agenda. Scope holds. Time holds. Channel holds. The temperature drops a degree you can feel in your shoulders. This is how gravity returns to steady hands. Not through drama, but through sequence and proof. People trust what moves on rails. You become reference instead of resource, and reference sets the pace. Keep it close and ready. Next comes the single sentence for rooms on fire. The one line that cools heat faster than effort ever could. The line is small enough to carry in a pocket. Let's slow this down so we can see what's true. It travels without theater. No edge, no apology. Just a steadying request that returns oxygen to room and puts the work on its feet. Picture a chaotic stand-up. Updates collide. Blame sparks, the timeline shrinks by minutes. You feel the tug to match speed and prove you care. You take one longer breath and place the sentence on the table. Voices soften. Eyes drop to notes. Someone surfaces the real blocker. Another names the dependency. You freeze the spec because heat distorts measurements, and suddenly the map gets crisp. The rush was air. The plan becomes metal. Authority is the quiet that survives pressure. It doesn't posture. It outlasts. This is not passivity, it's pacing. When you slow the room to the speed of truth, standards stop melting and decisions start holding. You become the person who keeps the signal clean. Machiavelli would nod at the mechanics. Appear steady, be steady, move the result. Scarcity of reaction increases weight. Governed appearances guide outcomes. You're not withholding. You're conserving authority for the lever that matters most. Use the sentence lightly and often. It protects craft from panic and people from performative urgency. Over time, repetition turns the stance into posture and posture into culture. Meetings end sooner. Specs harden before schedules. Fewer apologies, more artifacts that last. Keep it close. When rooms catch fire, air the truth first, then choose the next measurable inch. The line buys you that inch without a fight, and the inch buys you the next. Soon you'll notice something quiet. The team begins to borrow your tempo. That's how influence compounds, one calm line at a time, until the pace becomes the place others trust to work in together. Life gets wider after a clean no. Interruptions thin out. Calendars stop fraying, and the mornings return with edges you can trust. Coffee comes warm instead of hurried, and the work gathers heft, the kind that doesn't need an audience to stand upright. You move through tasks like a river through a narrowed channel. Less splash, more carve. Fewer pings, clearer pages, deeper hours. What once felt like juggling now feels like building. Beam on beam with light left over at day's end. Then the same favor arrives, the one that used to unwind your week. You feel the tug and feel your breath arrive first. This time you choose to be precise. You either frame a yes, 40 minutes, one draft, notes by 4, thread not call, or you offer a clean no with a path forward. Can't own this. Here's a template and Friday's review slot. The room learns. Respect doesn't come from volume. It comes from edges you keep. You keep the gate and the ledger close. Before reply, before decision, before sleep, name the aim, price the yes, pick the smallest irreversible act. 2 minutes settle the nervous system and put numbers where hopes used to hide. The practice turns pace into policy. Quiet accumulates. Peace stops being a weekend and becomes the texture of your work. Guard 1 yes and 10 boundaries guard you. The hours stop leaking. The house stays lit. You find yourself surrounded by people who value tempo over theater and outcomes over optics. The door is still there, but it swings on your hinges now. Take your seat among the rare and the patient, the ones who understand that refusal can be hospitality when it preserves the table for what truly